Over the past 2 decades, the United Arab Emirates has forged a unique development model, positioning aviation not merely as an economic sector, but as a strategic pillar central to its entire growth framework. Through massive capital investments, carriers like Emirates and transit hubs such as Dubai International Airport have transformed the nation into a global nexus, a point of convergence for international passengers, trade, and investment flows. The Emirates fleet alone is now valued at over $150 billion. Furthermore, Dubai International Airport, handling upwards of 85 million passengers annually, has solidified its status as one of the world's busiest hubs for international travel. The cornerstone of this success lies not merely in modern infrastructure or the scale of its fleet, but in the strategic financialization of geography. By leveraging its unique position at the crossroads of Asia, Europe, and Africa, the UAE has evolved into the world's most efficient transit hub. However, this very model harbors a fundamental structural vulnerability. It relies almost entirely on the international market's confidence in the region's safety and stability. Amid escalating regional tensions involving Iran, any perception of risk regarding the UAE's airspace or security environment would trigger consequences far beyond mere flight disruptions. Since the outbreak of hostilities with Iran, the UAE has faced an unprecedented surge in attacks, with 304 ballistic missiles, 15 cruise missiles, and a staggering 1,627 drones successfully intercepted. Yet, despite the high efficiency of air defense systems, the human cost remains unavoidable. 2 soldiers and 5 civilians have been killed, while 145 others have been injured, a grim testament to the direct and inevitable impact of modern warfare. The aviation industry operates on a logic fundamentally different from traditional economic sectors. Airlines optimize not just for cost, but for risk management. Passengers and businesses react with lightning speed to any signals of instability. Once a region is perceived as unsafe, it triggers a cascade of consequences: soaring insurance premiums, shifts in booking behavior, and a forced overhaul of airline networks. In this context, flight routes are not merely delayed, they are replaced. And significantly, this displacement often becomes permanent over time. When airlines are compelled to redraw their flight maps to bypass a region, they seek more than just temporary workarounds. They invest in new corridors, forge alliances with alternative airports, and establish entirely new operational ecosystems. These shifts generate a network inertia that is incredibly difficult to reverse, as the cost of reverting to the old structure often outweighs the expense of maintaining the newly stabilized one. Consequently, every day of disruption represents more than just a short-term revenue loss. It is a gradual erosion of strategic standing in the global aviation hierarchy. What is truly being undermined is not merely the frequency of flights, but the UAE's status as the default transit node in the minds of international carriers and passengers alike. However, it would be premature to conclude that the UAE's aviation model is facing a total collapse. The nation continues to hold formidable structural advantages that are difficult to replicate, from its optimal geographic position for long-haul routes and world-class infrastructure to its robust financial reserves and policy flexibility. Aviation history demonstrates that major hubs rarely vanish entirely following a crisis. Instead, they often undergo a period of relative decline, followed by a strategic rebalancing of their global standing. Nevertheless, this perspective does not diminish the gravity of the current challenge. The essence of the challenge lies not in immediate destruction, but in a process of silent yet cumulative erosion over time. If instability persists, the UAE may not entirely lose its transit role, but it will gradually surrender the dominant status it has painstakingly built over the last 2 decades. In an industry where trust is more vital than infrastructure, the erosion of its image as a safe and stable environment could yield consequences far more enduring than any physical damage. Once flight routes, passenger flows, and market habits have pivoted to competing hubs, reclaiming them will no longer be a natural progression. Instead, it will be a fresh, costly battle, one with absolutely no guarantee of success.